welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and today we are doing another review for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, season Lucky or Unlucky 13, episode 2, and this is called The Unwise Surprise. Okay, so we start off, and we're just, by the way, before I get into this review, I just want to share, today was interesting as far as watching the show and all that good stuff. I was not mentally prepared to do 2 reviews at the same time, back-to-back shows at the same time and getting ready for the reviews, but I will need to figure out how I'm going to manage that because the Real Housewives of Miami also came on for Wednesday. So both shows were on a Wednesday if you have Bravo. And because I don't, and I actually watched the streaming version of it on Peacock, I do not get a chance to review it until Thursday. And so I'm filming it right now. And I thought I was going to be able to do a run, do my 9 to 5, eat dinner in a timely fashion. And then for those who don't know, I'm in the middle of a cleanse. I've actually already lost 1 pound. It's only been day 2 of the cleanse. I already lost 1 pound. So it's going well. We'll just say that. So far, so good. And I do feel like I'm getting lighter. I feel lighter already. I'm starting to already feel lighter. We're talking Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So without further ado, let's get into it. So basically, the scene starts with Dorit heading to the park. They're Beverly Hills, like at this park. It's really, really pretty. There's traffic all around them because it's just like this giant park. Dorit basically has her people setting up a picnic for her and Erica to join. And if you remember from the last episode, Dorit and Erica still needed to clear the air because they still were not really in the best of terms yet. They kind of buried it for the moment, but they really, Dorit was left kind of still not feeling it, and Erica knew that she wasn't still really feeling her. But anyway, so Erica does show up. And right away, Dorit doesn't waste any time, and she shares that she was hoping, basically stated what she said in confessional, but to her face. She's like, I was hoping you would have led it with an apology, when I shared how hurt I was about you making, what you thought was a funny comment about my marriage being in trouble. And, basically to Dorit's surprise, Erica owned it. She was like, yeah, you're right. I should have said something. I should have, apologized right away. And I needed to make things right. And then Dorit does share more with Erica, stating like, hey, it would bother me either way, but that comment bothered me especially because, well, PK and I are kind of in a rough patch right now. So that I felt personally attacked, literally. So Erica actually, in her confessional, she states like, oh my gosh, like if I would have known that, I would have just, ruined someone else's life as a joke. Like she would have never actually came for her, said that. But she was serious. I feel like Erica would have been is serious and she wouldn't have like attacked Dorit because, Dorit was technically part of her alliance. So there's no reason for her to do that. And so for Dorit to catch that stray during BravoCon was kind of odd, but there really wasn't that many options because most of the women on the show are not married. So it was either Dorit and PK or it was going to be Mauricio and Kyle, or actually even Lisa Rinna and her husband. But like, not that many options because, at the time Lisa Rinna was still on the show. So hopefully that's going to be the last time I say that lady's name because, that lady. But anyway, so, and to me, and this is kind of my feedback on the whole scene as a whole, it definitely does seem like that Erica is in her redemption path. She's trying to redeem. This is supposed to be her redemption season. She's been the villain for the past 2 seasons now. So I think that's totally what she's trying to do here. But we'll see how long that lasts because, these shows don't last without conflict. There's going to be some conflict at some point. But anyway, Dorit also does share with her, like, hey, well, she actually, in the confessional, she states that, PK has not been, just reiterates that PK and her are going through a rough patch because Dorit is going through PTSD. She's stating the issues that with the robbery last season that was, that was kind of her storyline last season that her house got broken into. And then she also shared that she went shopping for her kids for Christmas and someone took her money. Like, she went to the register thinking she had the money and they took her money. And she said she was on the, she looked on the surveillance camera and lo and behold, she had 3 gentlemen following her around the whole entire time, scoping her, waiting for her to leave her money, like, in the car, which is one of those things, like, I think in today's day and age, you should never leave your money, like, in a cart unattended, like a grocery cart unattended. You would think that's a known thing, but so many people do it. And I see people do it still to this day a lot. And I'd be confused because that kind of thing can happen. But in her case, she wasn't like at a grocery store. She was like at like a gift shop or something where I'm pretty sure she was about to, pay for a nice coin. So anyway, she does share that with Erica as well in this scene. And it really does seem like they left the scene in a high note and they're good. No more issues there. So they really have truly buried it because they talked it through this time. Well, more in depth because with that group healing thing, they weren't able to really get into it like that because multiple people had to air the grievances or whatever. And so that's down that. Okay, so next we have, in the next scene we have Sutton. We have Sutton FaceTiming Garcelle, and they both are sharing kind of, you could tell they really have a true good friendship. It's the cutest thing ever because they're talking about how their kids are doing, what they got going on, and it's super nice. And they also are talking about the plans that they have because Sutton and Garcelle apparently are planning a birthday vacation, a group trip, if you will, to Vegas for Crystal's 40th birthday to loosen her up. That's literally what they say. And for much needed fun, because it sounds like the way both of them are talking back and forth, they clearly both seem stressed. So that was a little bit of that scene. And basically, Sun's hoping for a fresh start because the thing about this is that Sun and Crystal's history, they're not really besties. They're they left off as frenemies. So we'll see how things progress with this trip. And so basically, Sun's hoping for a fresh start with this trip. And when they talk about how their history is kind of frenemy-ish, they do reflect back at the previous seasons, their different arguments and stuff like that. And their arguments have never been super serious. They've always been super petty. So it's not enough where they can't ever be friends, but they haven't really built a foundation for a true friendship, if you will. Full transparency with this show, and I'm hoping Crystal finally gives something this season. She's been kind of the odd girl out this whole entire time more than anyone. Everyone else seems to gel together a little bit better. And I think some of it has to do with the age difference because Crystal's my age while everyone else is like Gen X, and so there might be a little bit of that happening. Um, but we'll see. There's more to come on that. So within the same scene, Sutton is then she hangs up the phone with Garcelle, and Sutton is then greeted with a matchmaker at the door. Her name's Alexandria, basically. Apparently, she's like the biggest matchmaker in Beverly Hills for, the people with the coins. And so Sun shares her dating woes with her immediately. And she's basically says she's a one date wonder. She never gets a second date. And the reason why, and she goes into detail in her confessional things. She says she's not a slut, according to her. So she doesn't really dress provocatively. But when I tell you the thing she's wearing in the first date, I'm like, girl, what? Girl, what? She wore in one of her first dates a sweater with like a cat on it. Like something your grandma would wear on a first date. Huh? I mean, I get not dressing provocatively on your first date, and I don't really try to do that either, because you're, whatever your style is, your style, so I'm not really shaming here, but I mean, you still can zhuzh it up a little bit, and child, no. So, and she also shares how awkward she is. And if you have ever watched this show or plan to watch this show, that's one of the things that does make Sun super relatable, is how awkward she really is. But she is super awkward. So a lot of times she's unintentionally funny because she's super awkward. Great housewife material. It's like great. It's awesome. So, okay. Basically, and so it does make her relatable, as I mentioned. And also, too, she basically mentions another reason why she doesn't normally get a second date is because she basically likes control. She's a little bit of a control freak. And again, the way she describes it is super relatable. Super, super relatable. Because the matchmaker suggested, hey, well, why don't you let the man lead? And she's like, what, a man lead? Say what now? And I felt personally attacked. I'm just saying. I'm a little bit like that too, especially the older I've gotten with dating. Yeah. I'm like that as well. And later on in the episode, she does, it makes sense why she's that way. And she kind of alluded to in the last episode when she talks about how she was with her ex-husband. And again, I feel personally attacked. Similar situation. I've been in a similar situation when, in a previous relationship. So I get it. I totally get it. But anyway, so we're going to the next. So we go into the next scene, and we finally have Crystal in her own scene. Child, I hate this for her, but she hasn't really been around. Like, she's kind of, I forgot she was on the show a little bit, because on the first episode, she wasn't really featured much. But this one, this scene was kind of cute, and I liked it, appreciate it, because we're getting to know her. So what happened with this scene, she meets her husband, Rob, and then also her brother, Jeff. Apparently, Crystal's brother, Jeff, because it's her older brother, is like the Chinese Justin Bieber in China. So he's like this giant pop star, I guess. And they are pretty close and pretty tight-knit. And so they're meeting at this restaurant, but I guess this restaurant has a little bit of significance. And I'm a little confused why we're going into this, but it makes sense a little bit. But I'll share my thoughts after I mention it, after I state what happened here. So basically, they're close to where Jeff was supposed to have his bridal shower at. And apparently, Jeff was in a long-term relationship and engaged to his ex fiance in 2020, but it happened right at the beginning of 2020, and apparently his now ex-girlfriend does not have citizenship, so she's Chinese, completely Chinese, and so she was having issues getting back to the United States because of everything that was happening with the world. And so they ended up breaking up because of that. Like the distance and all that became too much. And Crystal, and I was a little confused by this story. But anyway, Crystal does state that she feels like he blames her for that. Again, I'm a little confused why this has anything to do with anything, but basically, so he basically is saying to them like, hey, I'm ready to date now. It's been 2 years. I'm ready to date. And then he kind of throws it back in her face like, so what would you do if I end up dating someone who is 20 years younger? And then that's when they kind of go into the backstory a little bit more of how Crystal and her husband Rob started dating a little bit, and then how the brother felt at the moment when that was happening. And that part was relatable, but even though it was a cute scene, and also the brother was in the confessional with Crystal, that was cute, but what I'm confused about is, honestly, Crystal still, when she describes and says stories, and this is not just now, but this has been her thing in general on this show, she talks very confusingly, so it's hard to follow her when she's talking. And it's not that she it has nothing to do with her ethnicity at all. Like she doesn't have an accent. Like it's just that she literally, her words, she doesn't put them together well, at least in my opinion. So a lot of times when I'm trying to listen to her story or get to know her more, I end up being more confused. And maybe I just need to go back and rewatch it. But the problem is I'm kind of not interested enough to go back to watch and find out what she was saying there. So, and I want that to change for me, but that's been kind of a constant thing for me when it comes to Crystal on this show. It's, I want to be able to relate to her because we're literally the same age group, but she's not good with putting her words together where things make sense. So I always leave confused. And then also, it's cute that I'm seeing her dynamic with her brother, but honestly, it just feels like her brother just popped out of nowhere. I don't know where her brother came from because I feel like her brother hasn't been on this show up until this season, and this is her third season. So it's like not enough. I feel like I don't have enough information to understand things when it comes to her. So I still have a hard time understanding her. Like I'm understanding a little bit more. I'm getting to understand a little bit more of her family dynamic when it comes to like her and her brother. But I still feel like I don't know her. And this is the third season. It's confusing. And to put it into perspective, I'm watching another Real Housewives show I'm watching that I've been loving, and I'm not going to review, at least not this time around. I might next season. It depends if it still stays the way it is this season. The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Monica's brand new to the show, but I find I'm invested. I'm invested. I'm invested. She's good. And it's only been 5 episodes maybe, and I'm more invested in her than I am in Crystal. That's kind of a problem. Just saying. And I don't think it has to do with introvertedness or extrovertedness. It's just, you had multiple seasons, and so I'm confused. And I want to I want to give her a chance. I'm going to, hopefully this Vegas trip that's coming up, I'll get to know her more. But that's just kind of my POV leaving this scene. I just kind of left more confused. All right, so then the next scene, Kyle pulls up to Dorit's place in her new Range Rover, and the housewives were doing kind of what housewives used to do a lot more in the past seasons of Real Housewives, where they show the value of her car. Her car is $165,000. I can't imagine paying for a car. Depending on where you live, that could be someone's like value of a house. But that's a car. Anyway, so Dorit doesn't, so apparently Dorit thinks they're going to lunch. But unbeknownst to Dorit, PK actually recruited Kyle to help with his surprise for their anniversary, because apparently is Dorit and PK's anniversary. And so Kyle is basically taking her to where PK wants to take her to, and I'll kind of spoil it, but he's taking her to the Beverly Hills Winshire Hotel. For those who don't know and aren't familiar or aren't movie buffs, that's where Pretty Woman was filmed. So yeah. Anyway, I'll go more into detail on that once we get there. So while they're on the car right there, Kyle, so Dorit is asking, is there something going on with Kyle? Because Kyle seems off. And she asks how apparently Dorit calls Mauricio Mo also. I guess I didn't know that, but maybe I just wasn't paying enough attention. Anyway, she's asking how they're doing. And also, when PK recruited Kyle kind of did shade the idea in the confessional, stating because of the type of movie Pretty Woman was, and basically, I'll just let the cat out of the bag. So they're going to reenact Pretty Woman. But so Kyle is like, so you are treating your wife like a sex worker? But Kyle's being shady and kind of high-key annoying. But anyway, it'll make sense when I explain more what happens here. But so Dorit's like, is everything okay? Like, are you good? Like, what is this? Are you and him good? And Kyle's like, where are you getting this from? And she states she doesn't, and I guess Kyle has stopped posting Mauricio on her social media. In the past, she's always been someone who's like, my man, my man, my man. And she hasn't been seeing that. So she's a little confused with that. And Kyle just states that she needs space. And then she's like, from him? From the marriage? And she's like, no, just from everyone. But Dorit's not buying it. And she kind of pushes a little bit one more time for an answer. But Kyle's just still like, no, everything is good. And so Dorit in the confessional saying she does state that she's not buying it, but she respects her boundaries. So she's going to leave it alone for now. And because Dorit is a true friend, I don't know how much of a true friend Kyle is, but Dorit did say, hey, if you don't want me to talk about something, you could just say that and I'll drop it. Like, she's just like, I'll just leave it alone for now. And she literally says that to her. And I guess my feedback with this scene is that, yeah, Dorit is clearly, I feel like Dorit is a better friend to Kyle than Kyle is to her, but I don't think Kyle is really anyone's friend because she doesn't even know how to be good to herself. So I'm trying to give Kyle a chance, but there's been too many seasons where she just has been annoying. Anyway, so next scene. Well, I guess not quite the next scene yet. They do arrive at the hotel, and which is beautiful. And Dorit is totally confused because she's like, I thought we were going to get lunch. So she's really confused. And so they go away from that scene for now, and they actually go to another scene where Garcelle's getting ready to go to Sun's place, and then Sun's getting ready for her to arrive. And then Garcelle does show up at Sun's place, and they're having a barbecue. The food looked good. It looked really, really good. And apparently, Sun got some post dates and got the barbecue from a restaurant. I don't know what restaurant, but clearly her assistant got it for her, because the assistant, by the way, Sun's assistant's been making all the appearances on the first 2 episodes. So kudos to him. But anyway, and I'll explain a little bit more with that later too. So they're kind of just having their small talk. They're having their lunch, and Sun shares with Garcelle the matchmaking and about the matchmaking and how that went, and also a little bit more of her dynamic with her ex-husband, because I don't think up until this point Sun has really shared as much of this, so she's sharing more of it. And Garcelle quickly figures out in that marriage she gave up all of her power. And I was like, I can relate to that. Not quite on the level of Sun, because Sun was like, she gave up being in the boardroom with her husband. She gave up, what her and her kids were doing. The only thing that Sun got to do in that marriage was plan the vacation, because he would show up at the last minute to the vacation. And I was like, that's the kind of hell I could never be a part of. For those who are cool with being kept, I get it. I like control a little too much for that, but that's just me. Anyway, I basically what I'm trying to say is I was able to relate to Sun yet again when it came to that. So they reverse, and they are talking about what's going on with Garcelle. And Garcelle immediately starts crying because she shared what Jax stated to her about, how he's been feeling her son. And it broke her. She really felt like she feels like she's failing. And and she did share with Sun that Jax asked to live with the dad. And she's just like, Sun just being so supportive. It's like, you know what? Teenagers are jerks, especially teenager boys. They can be jerks. And you're doing a great job. You're doing the best you can. And, and then she also mentions like, hey, as a single mom, it's just complicated. You have the ex that's still in your life because they're still in your kid's life. But you also have to make ends meet. So it is what it is. And so Garcelle's like, I get that, but I do feel like I need to be more intentional, be more present, and be more actually physically there for my kids, because, he is voicing how he feels. And the delivery might have been harsh, but, she's going to take it under consideration. So it was beautiful. It was a cute scene. I always like them two together because you could tell they have a real friendship. So that's pretty cool. But anyway, we cut back to the Beverly Hills Wishara Hotel, where Dorit is still stuck on confusion, and they're going to the room because basically Kyle gets a key from the front desk to go to a room. And So they get to the room and Dorit is still confused. And so Kyle gives her a hint that the iconic movie was filmed there. And then Dorit gets like, oh, Pretty Woman. And once Dorit figures out, she's not impressed, like at all. Because there's food, there's room service and there's food, but it's not all the food. She was expecting there to be more food apparently than what was there. Which I get the concept, but it was a little nitpicky. But the reason why I feel like she was truly nitpicky is because she was literally starting to freak out. And when I mean she was literally freaking out, she was freaking out. I don't think she was acting either. I think she literally was like losing her shit. Like she was just like, what is this? What is this? And so she goes outside because there's a balcony, and she goes outside and the producers are trying to talk to her like, hey, just call PK, it'll be fine. Like, you calm down. And Kyle is in the room laughing. She thinks it's so funny that she's freaking out. And it's like, and this is why I said earlier, Kyle is a friend to no one. Why would you laugh at your friend if she's freaking out like that? Like, I don't think Dorit was being over the top. I think she literally was freaking out, actually. Like, it seemed like she actually was legitimately freaking out. And more will be said, more will be revealed shortly. So, also the reason why she was freaking out, because she thought, she gets this and PK would be there, and PK's nowhere to be found. So she's freaking out. She just doesn't understand what's happening. And so Kyle calls PK, still laughing because she thinks it's funny. And so while this is happening, PK and Dorit are in a confessional together, and he mentions that he's super close to Kyle, but he finds it interesting that he loves it when he seems like he's failing. And so when she was laughing like that, he knew he was messing up. And so he also shades her in the confession, and I was like, that was a read. He was like, Kyle's getting kicked out of this surprise or and failing, but like, he basically said, sorry, I'm fumbling on the words here. So Kyle's getting a kick out of this, but like maybe Kyle needs to be paying more attention to the fact that her husband won't do anything like this for her. Something like that. He didn't quite say those words, but it was along the same lines, and like it was witty and it was a quick read. I was like, ooh. And then Dorit's reaction was like, oh. I loved it. I love that Dorit was like, oh. Nice little, oh, to let you know that he did that. And Dorit, after talking to the producer, she does call her kids. She actually calls PK, but the kids answer, and they put her at ease right away. And she calms down, and they say happy anniversary to her, and she's relaxed, and she goes back to the hotel room. And right away, when she goes back to this hotel room, a stylist comes through the door with all these different versions of the Pretty Woman red dress and the gloves. Because I did mention before that the plan is they're going to reenact Pretty Woman. So it's kind of cute. I think it's cute. I mean, Kyle's just miserable, so she's being annoying. But like, I think it's cute. The gesture's cute. So anyway, now Dorit is excited about reenacting Pretty Woman, and then Dorit gets back to like her normal bag, and she was like, and goes back to fashion, goes into fashionista mode. She's like, well, no, this won't work, but this won't work. And it's like, okay, all is well. And then Kyle leaves, and she's like, okay, sees that she's good, and she leaves. But anyway, so after that, PK does finally arrive, and they meet at this lounge. And he has the giant necklace, and he does the thing where she goes, ah! and she grabs, like they reenact that literally, but she does literally get to wear this necklace. He puts the necklace on her, and this necklace, I'm pretty sure they rented it for the day because it was a $1 million necklace. There's no way that was going to be a permanent necklace. It definitely was jewelry that for renting, not to own, because the value of it, I was like, wait, no, what? Yikes. Anyway, because they put that in the line about how much it was. I was like, oh, no, ain't no way. And so shortly after they have their drinks, they go to the actual penthouse where they are going to be spending the night at. So not the room where they were at, because they were in a tiny room at first, and it's not that. They're going to the penthouse. And when they go to the penthouse, the band Berlin is there, and they're singing Take My Breath Away. Even though that is not Pretty Woman, that's Top Gun. That's the soundtrack from Top Gun. For those who are 80s babies, if you know, you know. That's Top Gun. That's not... And shady producer says Top Gun, not Pretty Woman, underneath the music for that. And even PK in the confessional with Dorit jokes about it. She's like, maybe I should do more of these mashups more often, top, like where you put a different song from a different iconic movie, iconic soundtrack song into iconic movies. So he mentions, like, what if I put grab an iconic song from Jungle Book and put in The Godfather? Like, it's dry, but I'm not gonna lie, PK kind of was the humor of this episode. He was kind of funny. PK is funny and witty at times. It's just a little bit of a dry humor, but it's cute. Anyway, so they get down. After Berlin finishes the song and completes the performance, we do find out from Dorit that is literally one of her favorite songs, period. So that's why they were performing it, because it's one of her favorite songs. And then PK was like, that really was them, right? That was the band Berlin. And I could tell because the lead singer looks kind of the same, only, she's older. I don't know what the other person looks like, but if you know, you know. Anyway, so they go and sit down because they have this beautiful dinner ready to go, starting off with the caviar. And then there is roses, red roses everywhere, bouquets of red roses. So not so much rose petals, but like the actual bouquet of roses everywhere. It just looks gorgeous. And so they go sit down, and then they kind of go back and forth, not like an argumentative back and forth, but like PK kind of regretted doing the surprise because of how much she freaked out. And she shared, like, no, I appreciate it, but I'm just not good with not having control. And so she's sharing the PTSD is what was making it worse, because, she mentioned she has that PTSD. And she also, while all this is happening, she's mentioning she, doesn't like to give up control. And she's also stating in her confessional that it's not just that, but like when she wasn't looking for a grand gesture from him, so she wasn't really looking for this. She was looking for more help and more support from him, because she's not getting that, like helping out around the house and things of that nature. Kind of similar to, it's a very similar storyline a little bit to Whitney and her husband on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Only this one's way more interesting, because I don't find Whitney's storyline interesting with her husband. I don't even believe it. It doesn't seem believable. And Dorit and PK, it kind of seems believable. Well, it seems a little bit more believable. I'll just say it. Like, I feel like it's more believable. Anyway, so they do address it a little bit. So he acknowledges how her issue and how she feels when it comes to the control, and how, when it comes to that. But I feel like her part of it, what she needs, was not really addressed as much as far as like needing support. So the confessional, she doesn't seem as hopeful as she appears in front of his face about it. So it's a little bit more to come when it comes to that. All right, so in the next scene, we have Mauricio and Kyle eating. They're getting ready to throw the party for Portia's birthday party, which is her daughter, and it's her 15th birthday apparently. And so Kyle's sharing in her confessional that they're not on the same page. So it's pretty obvious. I mean, that's not really, we didn't need her to say that. It's pretty clear that they're not. And she also states that Mauricio has just been constantly going to different locations throughout the world, opening locations for his real estate agency. Because those who don't know, like, Mauricio is a very successful into real estate. And I think he even has a show, I want to say on Netflix. I'm not sure. I don't really watch Netflix anymore, about it. So he's been booked and busy, like, to the point where, I mean, right now he's on Dancing with the Stars. So yeah, he's booked and busy. But anyway, Kyle she's still coming off a little bit like a child to me, and I think that's what's bothering me with this. But anyway, she basically states in the confessional that like his career is the other woman because she doesn't get to spend any time with him. And I'll share how I feel about it in a second. But anyway, well, actually, I'm going to share it right now because it transitions to something else a little bit. So to me, I think Kyle is super insecure. I think she's one of the most insecure women I've ever seen on TV. And she projects her insecurities in different ways with other people. Like, to me, it seems like Mauricio, yeah, he's probably super busy, but like, he's making the coins, and there just needs to be a conversation about managing your time where you guys can like work it out. But I'm not someone who's been married for a super long time, so put in the comments if maybe that's part of it too. It's just the fact they've been, together for so long is part of it. But to me, and maybe it's just my bias with me finding Kyle just annoying. It's hard for me to really feel bad for her when it comes to some of this stuff because she just comes off super whiny, super, like she won't, I guess I haven't seen yet that she hasn't stated to him that she needs him to like, be around more. She's like not using her words. She's basically saying all this in confessional, but like, I really wish she would just use her words and just say how she feels. And then if he doesn't take it and isn't receptive to that, then you can, make the next steps and be a little bit a certain way. But like, and when I share the end of this scene, I feel like we're going to be here because I'm skipping ahead to why I feel this way. Because when you see when I describe the rest of the scene, we're going to be here. I promise we'll be. So anyway, Mo's mom, the party starts. Fast forward, the party starts. Everyone's there. And Mauricio's mom asks, if her and Mauricio are okay. Because she's been seeing, articles about them possibly having problems in the media. And Kyle's irritated by this question because, for one, this is about Portia's birthday party and not about them two. And for two, apparently what caused it was the fact that she was leaving the gym and she didn't have her wedding band on. Now, for those who are married, and I don't know this because your girl clearly is not. When y'all go to the gym and y'all have a wedding band, do you take the wedding band off while you are at the gym? I just need to know. I don't know. So I don't know if like that's real or not. I hear multiple things about that. Um, yeah, tell me your thoughts. And also, too, maybe because in her case, it's not like it's an engagement ring; it's a wedding band. So I'm confused. Anyway, so and then this from an article from like February 2020, from February this year, 2023. So Kyle's freaking out because of that question. And then after that, then Mauricio's kind of complaining a little bit about how their house is a little bit of a mess. And again, it's back to the whole control thing and not getting any help. This is the theme of this episode. All these women have similar issues, but in different ways. But the way some of them are behaving towards the similar issues is night and day. Anyway, so Kyle's just irritated even more because she's just like, why are you complaining to me about this when I'm trying to make sure our daughter has a good time at this party, and I was the main one who put the party together? Because it definitely does seem like Kyle probably put all this party together, and then Mauricio just showed up to help out with the little things at the end, based off of what we're getting from like the story, that he's so busy that he's probably not around. So that adds to the frustration clearly. And so it's clear that Mo is getting on her last nerves. And so they're sitting down at the table, and Kyle notices one of the guests' fake tattoos because it was like on her hand or whatever. She's like, ooh, nice tattoo. And just very small and momentum and very little. And then the guest states like, it's not real. And then she's like, oh, okay, are you just testing it out? She's like, it's different from mine. And she says it out loud. And then Mauricio looks mortified because he's just like, why? Where'd that come from? And so basically, apparent, and then she's whispering to Mauricio with the mic on, so it's not really whispering. She's like, did your parents not know that I have tattoos? And he's like, no. And so this is why I said what I said earlier about Kyle. But let me continue. I'll say more later. So Portia is gifted this beautiful Cartier ring, which values at $1,300. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Yikes. And then out of nowhere, Kyle pulls Mauricio's parents aside to mention her tattoos. And then they're doing this back and forth. And then she also shares that her daughters have tattoos, and then mentions Mauricio has tattoos. And I'm just like, why does this matter? This is so stupid. This is stupid. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's stupid. So Mauricio, Kyle, and her daughters, their daughters, are getting the birthday cake ready. Lighting the candles. And then Kyle mentions that she talked to Mauricio's parents, to Mauricio, along with, the kids being there. And mentions like, hey, yeah, I told them that we all have tattoos. And Mauricio's like upset. He's like, why did you tell them about my tattoos? That's my business to tell them. They're my parents. Which, very true, number one. Super true. I don't understand why she did that. But number two, y'all are adults. Y'all have grown ass kids. I know one of them is grown. Y'all are in your late 50s. I don't understand this. I'm just like, is your family super religious and they're very anti-tattoo? And even if they are, so what? It's clear that both of you are the breadwinners in your family, or one of the breadwinners in your family. Why does this matter? This is just the dumbest. This is so stupid. It's so stupid. Anyway, so Mauricio leaves because he's annoyed. And it's just the whole scene was weird and it didn't make sense. So I hate to say this, I'm not sure if I'm buying their storyline. I'm not sure if I'm buying it because it just seems so stupid. It's stupid. So you mean to tell me you guys have beef for 2 episodes and had disagreements over tattoos? Because the first episode they were fighting over tattoos. So now this is the second episode and you're fighting over tattoos? Put in the comments, guys, does this really happen in real life? If y'all been married for a long time, do you fight over something that petty and stupid over and over again? Because to me, this is the dumbest argument and it's just really dumb. It seems like something that someone in high school would argue about because you're not allowed to get the tattoos. Not someone who's 18 or older who can literally go to a tattoo shop and get the tattoo because of their body. I'm just confused. Why is this part of the storyline? I don't understand it. Anyway, moving on, because I can rant about that all day. And this is also, again, this is why Kyle, you've been on this show from day one and you give side character energy. You have never given main character energy, and it's because of these type of things. It's stupid. It's so stupid. Anyway, now we see in the next scene, I'm just going to let it go now. In the next scene, Crystal and all the girls are getting ready for this Vegas trip. It's like, okay, Vegas time, Vegas time. Yes, the girls are out a little bit today. Don't worry about it. But Vegas time. They're on their way to Vegas. And so they arrive to their private jet. Apparently, Kyle put the private jet together. And we're learning in this scene that everyone kind of had a little role in what they did to help with Crystal's trip. So it's kind of cute that they all kind of pitched in a little bit here. So they arrive at the private jet and there's champagne on the private jet and then custom handbags with their names on it. Super cute. And then they basically arrive in style. They style and profile. We mentioned champagne, so I had to drink out my champagne flute. Anyway, it was really, really cute. But back to where we're at. So they do gift Crystal a sapphire necklace worth $3,000, and I was like, oh my gosh! Once they're up in the air, so they're in the air, they're in the sky, whoop, and Garcelle and Erica pretty much go over the criteria for day one of the trip. So Garcelle mentions the part where they're just gonna get ready, get their rooms together, rest a little bit, be ready to go out. And then Erica has a Magic Mike night planned out for them to do Magic Mike. And then she also mentions you should wear pants if you're going to do Magic Mike, because the idea is you're going to go up there. Potentially you can go up there if you want. And they can do their things. Anyway, so then Erica, Sun mentions that the trip is just, it's about bonding. We might do a little bit of fighting, but not too much. And then we're just, going to enjoy this time together as women. And Erica states in her confessional that she has given up fighting for Lent. And Kyle, one of the few times I agree with Kyle's looking at her like, say what now? And Shades in the confessionals, he's like, now this is a new one for me. She's like, I didn't know Erica all of a sudden became religious here. And Erica's like that. She was like, the Holy Spirit, God, the higher power. Someone told me to, give up fighting for Lent. So we're going to give it up. So basically, they arrive at Vegas and they are greeted on the runway by two red phantoms. And I'm like, yes, this is why I love me some Beverly Hills. The lives of the rich and famous. Yes. A yes and a yes. Anyway, so they do arrive at the hotel, and their rooms are stunning. It's just gorgeous. It's a gorgeous hotel. All the pillows have their name on it, so that's how they know what room is theirs. And of course, Crystal has her own room. Erica has her own room. Dorit and Kyle are sharing a room, so that kind of makes sense. And Dorit does a callback from, I believe it was season 10, where the girls were kind of accusing Kyle of being a lesbian. And because I don't remember if it was Dorit or Kyle, but they were sharing, oh my gosh, this setup is so romantic. And and then Dorit's like, let's feed those rumors. And then Sutton and Garcelle have a room together. And Garcelle was annoyed with Sutton. And this is why, remember how I mentioned that assistant has been everywhere so far this season? That assistant showed up a couple hours earlier at the hotel and has all her things, has all Sutton's things unpacked in the closets as if she lives there, and did not take under consideration that Garcelle needs space too. So she took up most of the closet and has all her stuff like already set up and everything. So Garcelle was just like, what the hell? What is this? Like, why would you do that? And so basically we fast forward to like 4 hours later. It shows a little bit of that Magic Mike show. And the girls were getting to it. Especially Erica. Erica was on that stage with the splits. Men's were there with the face in the place, just bam, but with pants on, of course, so seductive. And out of nowhere, we see that Sutton just gets super annoyed in the crowd and just asks for her mic to be removed, and she storms out of there. And she asked for she took her mic, gave her mic to the producers, and was like, she was out of there. And so Garcelle goes out there to console Sutton, and Kyle goes out there too, but Kyle's not helping things. Kyle's doing what she does best, is stirring the pot and not being helpful. And she's like, so were you jealous or something of like you weren't going on this, you weren't invited to this front stage? Like, she just came with this energy. And they're showing bits and pieces of it, so I'm not sure if there's more to it. And so I know where Crystal's like, says something to Dorit, like, we gotta go. Erica's still on the stage while this is happening. And so the next thing, it pans over to Sutton and Garcelle and Crystal going out of there towards the Sprinter van. And Sutton calls Kyle a bitch. She's like, you're a bitch. And then Kyle gets super defensive and starts like saying whole bunch of mean things to Sutton. And then Garcelle had her back like she always does. Like, don't say that to her. Don't do that. And then it fast forward to the Sprinter van, and they're still trying to figure out what is wrong with Sutton, because no one knows what's wrong with Sutton still. And then Erica is finally getting to the Sprinter van, and she's just like, oh my gosh, I feel judged. What is this? Because it does seem like that Sutton was mad about what was happening there, but it ends with the to be continued. So I guess we got to find out next week to find out what really happened there, because I was kind of confused towards the end of that. And I was like, what just happened? All I know is that they went from Kumbaya, the peace cutting out there. That peace did not last long. I was like, wow. That peace did not last long at all. Anyway, so that does conclude the video and the review for Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I am enjoying the season so far. I am enjoying it. It is a lot more bearable that lady's no longer there. I will say that. Even though there is some conflict, for the most part, it's a lot more bearable. So more to come. But anyway, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. I will see you next time. Bye.